have specialized flower markets. The apex of Dutch floral beauty can be found in spring in the Keukenhof, located in the town of Lisse, not far from Amsterdam, and central in the bulb-growing area. Here you can admire the almost 1,000 different species of Dutch tulips. Close to 1 million people visit these beautifully designed gardens. A third of them are foreign tourists. The Netherlands is essentially a dairy country. There are almost 37,500 agricultural companies with 1.7 million milk cows. Dutch cows produce some 11 billion litres of milk a year, an average of 6,500 litres per animal. One of the country's most important products is cheese. Brands such as Edam and Gouda are known throughout the world. Did you ever wonder why the Dutch are sometimes called cheeseheads? Perhaps because the country produces some 750,000 tons of cheese every year. Or perhaps due to the fact that the average Dutch person consumes about 15 kilos each year. Another typical example of Dutch folklore, a windmill. Of old, used for water regulation, they were also employed in milling, for example, wheat. Even though not all windmills are in working order, they still dominate the landscape. Yes, there it is. A tiny country on the North Sea, just 280 kilometers from north to south and 177 kilometers across. Now, who could live there?
Ja, Всяка. Hey, tweede. Всяка! Dat is het werk, hé. De bouk erin.
Welcome to the Netherlands. Traditionally the land of clogs, windmills and dikes. Yet this tiny country in the heart of Europe has much more to offer, as you will discover in this program. The Dutch come in all shapes and sizes, and these 15 million folk know perfectly well how to amuse themselves and each other throughout the whole year, anywhere and anytime. There are no mountains to break the skyline of the Netherlands. However, in the southern part of the country, in the province of Limburg, there are many attractive hills. The Utrechtse Heuvelrug is a ridge formed in the Ice Age running through the center of Holland. It provides a link to the undulating hills. And the water is ever present, the greatest friend and enemy of the Dutch. Crossing the country are the great rivers, the Maas and the Waal, making their way by twist and turn to the North Sea. Then, of course, there is the famed Dutch polder landscape. Flat plains stretching as far as the eye can see and offering rural peace and quiet. Throughout the Netherlands, there are hidden woodland areas, especially prevalent in the country's green heart. Autumn, with its own special blend of spectacular colour, magically transforms even this greenest of pleasant lands. Whenever the weather permits, the Dutch prefer to be outside. Enjoying their surroundings, they do as much as possible out of doors, and preferably with family and friends. The flat Dutch landscape and relatively short distances make it all an ideal terrain for one of the favorite Dutch pursuits, cycling. Every Dutchman and woman owns at least one, and often more than one bicycle. In a country with 15 million inhabitants, there are more than 18 million bikes and more than 18,000 kilometers of cycle paths. The bicycle and its rider are king, so welcome one and all. Because of the bewildering number of bicycles in the country, some people, purely by accident of course, take the wrong one with them. So there are many different kinds of locks to assist cyclists in finding their bicycle where they left it, enabling the owner to do what he loves best, ride through the city, the country, in any condition, as long as they can ride. The Netherlands has a long coastline of some 250 kilometers. To underline the importance of the sea, a figure of age-old Dutch tradition arrives on a steamer. When Sinterklaas, a Moorish bishop, arrives, it means to Dutch children that it is nearly the 5th of December, a day of presents, surprises, and sweets. Special Sinterklaas songs are sung more joyfully than tunefully. He is accompanied by his helpers, rendered sooty, as the Dutch will not waste money on cleaning chimneys, even if it is to receive presents. Strangely enough, they are all called Piet. The Netherlands, land of water. The water is friend, a second home. Everywhere in the Netherlands, water sports are much loved, on ponds, lakes, rivers, channels, or the sea. The provinces of North Holland, Flevoland and Friesland in particular are a paradise for water sports lovers. If you also love water, be warned. The country is not spacious, and the Dutch are never alone. You soon get used to it. The Netherlands has always had a love-hate relationship with the water. Because of its favorable geographic position, trade with and through the Netherlands blossomed centuries ago. But at the same time, floods are an ever-present threat. The water as enemy. During the 1953 flood disaster, things went wrong in a big way. A fatal combination of unnaturally high water levels and storm flooded major proportions of 3 provinces. In total, more than 200,000 hectares of land. 1,835 people were killed. To prevent a similar catastrophe, the Dutch built the world's first fully computerized storm flood barrier, a technological victory in the eternal battle with water. In 1958, the Delta project got underway in the province of Zeeland, with all sea openings in the southwest corner of the Netherlands being dammed. The only remaining open sea connections are now to Rotterdam port and Antwerp in neighboring Belgium. Without storm flood barriers and dikes, the Netherlands would have a totally different appearance. More than half the country would be underwater. The Zuiderzee project in the northern Netherlands was started back in 1918. It was finally closed off from the sea with a 30-kilometer afsluitdijk, creating the IJsselmeer. The next step was to reclaim major parts of the lake, creating new land called polders. Here, water levels can differ radically on 2 sides of a dike. Thanks to an ingenious water regulation system, they can even be adjusted at will. Since the polders are below sea level, enormous pumping installations were built to control the water. Superfluous water is pumped to a higher level of river or canal. And if there is a water shortage, water can be allowed in again for irrigation. In olden days, water regulation was performed by the famous Dutch windmills. With a network of locks, inland shipping traffic can bridge the considerable height differences. Water management and land reclamation from the sea is now a Dutch speciality. This well-known adage exists for good reason. God created the earth, but the Dutch built Holland. Rotterdam, with its striking 185 meters high Euromast. This bustling city is located on the estuaries of the Rhine and Maas rivers, close to the North Sea. In 1962, the port of Rotterdam was announced as the largest and busiest in the world, and has been so ever since. Along with the Willems Bridge, the beautiful Erasmus Bridge spans the Maas and connects northern and southern Rotterdam. The bridge, nicknamed the Swan, was officially opened in 1996 by Queen Beatrix. Holland is world famous for its tulips. In spring and summer, they bring bright colors to many fields and pastures, especially in the area known as the Bollenstreek.